My dear friends, after a year of trials and tribulations, which began with the sin of the golden calf and which was rectified several months later with the construction of the new portable temple, the tabernacle, the people of Israel stood poised to finally enter the land of Israel. Everything was in order. Each of the tribes were sectioned off into various orders of marching. The blast of the shofar and the silver trumpets would be sounded. Then the tribe of Yehudah would travel first, following upon the heels of the clouds of glory. After Yehudah would follow Yisachar and Zevulun. Then the various Levite families would come and dismantle the tabernacle curtains. And then Reuven, Shimon, Gad would follow. Other Levites would dismantle the beams, the tribe of Merari. The furnishings would be carried by the family of Kahat. They would all be followed by the remaining tribes in a perfectly harmonious and synchronized fashion. But then, suddenly, something went terribly wrong. You see, the people complained. What do they complain about? They were hungry. They missed the delicacies of Egypt suddenly. The pickles, the herring, the gefilte fish. Mostly they wanted meat and fowl, chicken. Moshe has, at this point, what we would call, in modern parlance, a nervous breakdown. He complains to God. He can't take it anymore. He certainly can't bear the burden of these people alone, on his own. So the march is put on hold. God tells Moses to choose 70 elders who will help him in his heavy tasks with the people. God sends down quail, tens of thousands, that would have been no effort to just collect, like they were stones on the ground. And the people had more quail than they could possibly eat. And their hunger was satisfied. Finally, everything is back on track, and the march should have continued. However, suddenly a new snag appeared from a most unlikely source. Miriam, the beloved sister of Moshe, speaks Lashon Hara against her brother. This time, not only is Miriam punished, but the entire people are punished with yet another delay. You see, they must wait 7 full days until Miriam is cured from the leprosy which has descended upon her in response to her injudicious lapsus linguae. Afterwards, the people continue their march. Just a few more days, they'll be home. You can almost taste the milk and honey. But upon serious reflection, the people go to Moshe with what might appear at first glance to be a reasonable request. We can't just march in. We have to know something about the land. Let us send our best and brightest to spy out the land, to discover her vulnerabilities, and to discover her charms, to find out her Achilles heel in order to make it easier for us to conquer it, and also to get a little bit of a Vorspeise of what the land of Israel is going to offer us. Moshe reluctantly agrees. After all, this is going to cause yet another delay, not of days, but of weeks. But the people apparently don't really mind. What's a few more weeks in response to an eternity of a lifetime? So the spies are chosen, and off they go. 40 days later, they return with a horrendous report. The land is terrible. No way is it possible that we can possibly conquer this land. Kalev and Yehoshua, 2 of the 12 spies, try to contradict that report. The land is good. It is flowing with milk and honey, and we can easily conquer it with God's help. Alas, to no avail. The people infamously cried that Tisha B'Av night. The rest is history. The people were condemned to wander in the desert for 40 years. And that should have been the end of our Parsha. What I'd like us to focus our attention on, though, is what happens next. It's actually quite startling. And it's almost a non sequitur to the previous saga of the travels and the spies and the imprisonment in the desert. The very next Parsha, paragraph, after the sin of the spies, God tells Moses to tell the people that when they shall enter the land and harvest its grain, they should offer the local grain as an accompaniment to their sacrificial donations in the temple. They should also make wine from the local grapes as a libation offering on the temple altar. In addition, when kneading bread, normally at home, they should always cut off a portion and give it as a gift to their local Kohen. What on earth do these Parshiot have to do with the story of the spies? Usually the stories of the Torah follow. You can see a thread connecting each and every story. Is there such a thread here? Why did God deem it necessary to relate these new mitzvot, especially at this time? Rashi tells us 4 little words. Bisar lahem sheyichnesu la'aretz. God was informing the people, good tidings, that they would enter the land. What does that really mean? Think about it. God needed to mollify the people. You could rightly imagine, put yourself in their position. The people of Israel at this juncture must have been seriously depressed. 40 years in the desert? Who knows if it'll be 40 years? Maybe we'll sin again next week, and it'll be 50, nay, 60, maybe 100, maybe forever. Maybe we are all destined, ourselves, our children, grandchildren, and all of our descendants, to die in this lonely desert forever. God recognized this, and God gave us these new mitzvot as a guarantee that, yes, you will pass away in the desert, this generation, but your children and grandchildren and all future generations will ultimately inherit the land which I vouchsafed to your ancestors, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. This land flowing of milk and honey is going to be given to you, and I guarantee it. Why would I give you mitzvot about the produce of the land unless I actually intend to send you there? That is the connection. That is the reason why these parshiot follow on the heels of the Meraglim. It is the thread which connects. We all now find ourselves in this difficult period of COVID-19. It is easy, and many people have, to fall into a deep, deep depression. When will this all end? When will this quarantine be finished? Will life ever get back to normal? Our Parsha warns us, don't do it. Don't fall. Shake off those blues. Remember, as the Talmud says, Atid shamda libatel. All persecutions are guaranteed to be temporary. Eventually they do end. Even a natural persecution, like corona. So don't lose hope. Don't give in to depression. Continue to fulfill my statutes, to study my Torah, and eventually things will, hopefully soon, return to normal. The vaccine will be discovered. A system will be employed. Mankind will be redeemed. Yes, eventually they do end. The persecutions, the sicknesses, the plagues. In the meantime, however, we must, to the best of our ability, take advantage of our unusual quarantine situation, our own personal wandering in the desert. Let me invite you to join our Kol Barama Zoom classes. We have many classes covering different aspects of Torah, Jewish history, Jewish culture. We even have a class on international kosher cuisine. If none of these classes strikes your fancy, then I beg you, please let us know. We will tailor-make a class just for you, for your interests. Yes, learn a little Torah each day. Fulfill a mitzvah. Make a bracha. Give a bracha. And in this merit, I am confident that very soon the Rabbeinu Shalom will cause the corona to vanish. Life will be restored back to normal. And perhaps we will then continue on our own personal march towards Eretz Yisrael, speedily with the coming of Mashiach, b'mheira b'yameinu. Amen. Shabbat Shalom.